We'll get started in just a minute. Thanks, folks, for coming. All right, Ms. Dooley, whenever you're ready, okay? Hi, good evening, everybody. The time is 6:02, and at this time, I'd like to call our special meeting to order. Ms. Dooley, may we have roll call, please?
Yes, we may. Greg Snyder,
Present.
Sean Levy, Amy Levy,
Here.
Megan Miller,
Present.
Spencer Anderson.
Present.
The roll reflects that Sean Levy is absent.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Levy, second by Anderson to approve our agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 2, which is the board member interviews, and it looks like we're going to start with Ms. Sanders. So I realize everybody just kind of sat down and got comfortable, but I think in discussing with some candidates, if candidates wouldn't mind stepping into the other room, and then we'll call you in one at a time so that they can kind of have their, but everybody else is welcome to stay because it is an open meeting. I'll just clarify that you're welcome to stay, and we can't really like force you out, but we just, based on preference from people, that's fine. Okay, at this time, Ms. Sanders, if you want to come and have a seat by the mic, there's a little button that you can push that turns your microphone on. All right, thank you so much, Ms. Sanders, for being here. So now that we've got our technology figured out, and for anybody watching at home, I apologize that I'm not on the screen. I'm having a little technology issue, but I am here. So sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna get started, Ms. Sanders. I'm gonna start with question 1. Ms. Levy will ask question 2. Mr. Anderson will ask question 3. Mr. Schneider will ask question 4. And then Mr. Anderson, if you'll do question 5, Ms. Levy question 6, and Mr. Schneider question 7. Is everybody okay with that? Sure. That works? Okay. Yeah. And then we'll keep that for all of our candidates. So I'll get us started this evening. Ms. Sanders, could you please tell us a little about yourself, your education, work experience, and any other information you'd like to share, and tell us why you should be appointed as a member to the Board of Education.
Well, first of all, hi. Thank you guys for allowing me this opportunity. My name is Adriana Sanders. I was born in Milwaukee, but I've been in Beloit since I think I was like 2 or 3, so Milwaukee don't count. So I've been in so I went to Converse Elementary, I went to Merrill Elementary, and then Aldrich, and then high school. I graduated class of 04. And I'm the oldest of 7. kids. My parents have been married for 36 years, so it's 7 of us total. And so with that, always been around kids all the time. So I thought that's what I wanted to do, because when you're a kid, you always say, I want to be a teacher. And so I was like, okay, so I started off in childcare. So I worked in, I started off in daycare, but then when I was there at Burge, kind of rambling. And then, so I did Burge, and then I did a lot of volunteer. And so basically, with that, I kind of like started getting more attached to, well, because I've been here so long and my family is kind of big, I'm very blessed to kind of know a lot of people. And so, with that just kind of came a different kind of world of what I wanted to do as far as teaching. I didn't want to kind of like be stuck in the classroom. So then I'm come from a church background, and so my first lady, she had started this program for the inner city youth, and so I kind of like got involved with that, and then I kind of like now that's like my baby, and so I feel like me being able this opportunity, I've already been so close with the schools as far as middle school and Hackett, just to kind of get inside and find out how can I help, because that's the number one question that we all kind of, even teachers on the side, how can we help? And that was like my thing of how can I help? And so, and that's easy, but then once it gets to that educational part of it, that was like my blockage. And so I was like, okay, so when the opportunity and the question was asked, I was like, ooh, you know what, I'm just gonna dive in that way. It kind of like unlocked that, for me, that mystery door to kind of bridge the gap, because the kids, they're there, and some of the parents are there, but it's just kind of like bridging the gap, and I feel like getting this part to be able to bridge that gap.
Thank you very much. Ms. Levy? Oh, sure, I can do it. Ms. Levy? Oh, you got it? Yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I just wanted to make sure we could all hear you uninterrupted. So my question is, how else are you engaged in the community? And is any of your experience relevant to serving on the Board of Education?
I tried to stop myself because I saw that question. So, as I stated, my first lady, her name was Doris Wild. She has started a program called Center of Hope, hence the shirt, Center of Hope, back in 2009. She passed away 2017, unfortunately, due to cancer. And she had kind of like passed the mantle to myself, and I was kind of like nervous, but being able to, so I moved back here to Wisconsin, and then, so I do that part. I've been doing this strong since 2014, and it's not just myself. It is definitely a group of people that have the same kind of heart for the community. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just you and your kids. It's once you walk through the door, everybody becomes one big family. And so, and that's the same thing carrying it into middle schools and everything else. So I feel like, kind of like what I was saying in one, just being able to kind of cross this bridge, just to kind of I feel like everybody's already on one accord, but nobody knows that they're on one accord. So I just feel like just kind of getting here, I kind of bridge that together. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
All right. I just want to thank you for showing up tonight, too.
Thank you.
It's good to have so many people interested in this. So the question I have for you is, in some situations, you may be asked to accept a reality that is contrary to your own beliefs. As a Board of Education member, you may cast a minority vote on an issue passed by the majority of the Board of Education. What would your reaction be in that situation?
Yes. So we all know that the world is changing, and foundationally, everybody comes from one foundation, but then it's like as you grow into the world and you start realizing that what you were taught foundation-wise in your house is not the same foundation in another person's home. And so you start kind of hearing other views and just having that open heart. I have definitely been tried in so many situations that would keep us here until 8 o'clock tonight. But just happen to be able to not take sides but really listen to each person and just try to figure out a common ground. And I believe that's, like I said, it starts with the foundation. And I feel like sometimes people won't kind of break the ground. They just leave it solid. They won't even, you know what I'm saying, try and touch it, because my great-granddaddy and my great-great-great-grandfather, instead of just kind of realizing that the world is changing, and what we did when we were 10 is, what I was doing at 10 is not the same as what my 10-year-old is doing at 10. So I have to realize that my sternness is not going to work the same way my father's or my mother's sternness work with me. So, just being able to find a common ground and let that person know that my heart is listening. I'm actually, just trying to make everything, smooth it all, understand or whatever.
Thank you so much. Board Member Schneider?
Again, I want to thank you for your interest in serving on the board. The question is, as a Board of Education member, you will receive input from people representing special groups or interests. How do you plan to use this information in the decision-making process?
You receive input from different people representing special groups or interests. I mean, that comes like with life, I guess. As me being on the board, I have to know that I'm not just thinking, just like when they're coming to me, they're not coming by themselves. Somebody was with them and they kind of came up collectively. So if it's something in that sense, then I would definitely take it into consideration. But in that decision making, I will make sure that it's something that we all can come to an agreement with. That makes sense?
Thank you very much. And whenever you're ready, Ms. Levy, number 5.
Okay. In your opinion, what should be the relationship between the Board of Education and Superintendent of Schools?
In my opinion, I feel like I feel like there is no more communication within the both, right? I feel like, and it's just my opinion, right? Okay, so I feel like everybody has to have an ear to hear. And at the end of the day, nobody's getting hurt but the kids, right? So while the adults are trying to make their point, the kids are doing exactly what they want to do, which is play video games and be outside. So I feel like somewhere somebody has to really sit down with the staff. I feel like the superintendent really needs to sit down with the staff of each school and really find out what exactly that school needs to happen, not just wants to happen, because there's a lot of things that I want, but what I need to happen in order for these grades to go up, whatever. And I say this on a personal level because I have third graders that come to my program from these school districts and they can't read. I can put down, for instance, we play, just like Wheel of Fortune, just kind of simple stuff. And I have the alphabet on the board, and I'm asking, what letter is this? And they're throwing out 3. Why is you telling me a K is a 3? So then now it's like, for me, you're in third grade, but I have to take a step back. And then when I go to the schools just to kind of figure out, I don't get a chance to talk to the teachers no more about the students. They're telling me about the problems of the school board and the school district. And it's like, okay, I get that part, but this child is struggling, and I'm not even a parent, but you know what I'm saying? So I think that that's what it is. I feel like there is no real listening. I feel like everybody is kind of like got their guards up, and nobody is really taking the time to pay attention to the greater picture of what's happening right here just in small Beloit, all of the graffiti and all of these kids walking around just unattended, just doing whatever they want. There is no structure. There is no leadership. So I'm looking at leadership. I shouldn't ask, where is leadership?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
All right, so what do you think is the most pressing challenges facing the school district of Beloit? And what do you think the board should do to address these challenges?
I mean, I feel like it's, like I said, it's really the communication. I can really say that so strongly. It's the lack of communication. It's the feeling of I'm not being heard. It's the feeling of I'm not being respected. Nothing matters. Why am I here? But then you got to know, I moved out of Beloit, right? I moved out of Beloit for 2 years. Because, when you come from a small town, you want to get out. But then where am I? I'm right back here because there's no place like home. All these teachers that's inside of the schools, they all have the same type of heart. They will stay. I have watched them cry. I've heard so many frustrating stories from different schools with the same stories. And I'm like, well, why not say nothing? Woo. So it's always that bickering. So I just feel like it has to start from inside of this room. And I guess that's why I feel like if I can go back to the number one answer that I gave of bridging that gap, it has to start in here because you guys kind of set the tone of what's going on out there. And they're kind of like following you guys' itinerary. You know what I'm saying? So to you guys, y'all doing the good. And to others, it's just not that good, just be honest. And so it's just about being able to really listen to it because each school has different challenges. Each school has different needs. And so I can't assume that Mr. Anderson needs the same thing Ms. Levy needs. If I come and give you a Mountain Spring water, but you like Avion and she likes that, if I'm not, that's me not caring. That's just me giving you water and then me saying, well, forget it. Drink it because I gave it to you. It's not how that works. Be respectful of each other and be understanding because you never know, period. So.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Schneider, number 7?
Okay, this one has a couple of questions in it. First, are you able to commit to a minimum of 2 nights per week for board meetings and possibly extra days for special meetings? Are you comfortable with reading documents thoroughly for comprehension, sometimes at a short time frame, and arriving at a meeting fully prepared to professionally engage and execute the business of the school district of Beloit? And how do you plan to manage your schedule to make this happen?
My answer to the first question is yes, I am definitely committed to it, only because, like I said, I work with the kids in this, so whatever I can do to enhance what I'm helping educational-wise. So if it had to be 2-3 nights, I'm right here. I love to read. That's always been I like to write short, so yes, I can definitely do that. And professional, I'm underdressed today, but either I'm underdressed or I'm overdressed. So it's only 2 options for me. And how do I plan? I plan to you guys' schedule. I'm very open, I'm very flexible. So if you guys say change the plans, we're not meeting today, we're meeting Thursday, then we meet on Thursday. So I'm really pretty much in my season of yes.
Great, thank you so much. And I just want to thank you on behalf of the board so much for being here this evening and for your interest in your candidacy. Have a good
Thank you
night.
guys so much.
Thank you. All All right, board members, does anybody need a minute, or are we good to call on the next person? Mr. Schneider, are you good?
I'm good.
Awesome. All right, so at this time, we're going to invite Ms. Chris Jacobson for her interview. Hi, good evening. Have a seat, and then you can push the button on the mic, or looks like it's already on.
It looks like it's on.
Perfect. Okay, wonderful. So whenever you're ready, just want to thank you so much for being here this evening and
you.
for your interest. We're going to go kind of take turns asking questions. So I'm going to ask your first question, and then it'll go Ms. Levy, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Schneider, and then Ms. Levy, Mr. Anderson, and Mr. Schneider, who's up there on the screen.
Okay. That
Oh.
one too. Okay, got
You're
it.
surrounded, yes. Yep. For those who couldn't hear, Dr. Keiser just said it's fine to take off your mask if you can, just to make sure everybody can hear. Thank you. Okay, so welcome, Ms. Jacobson. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your education, work experience, and any other information you'd like to share, and tell us why you should be appointed as a member of the Board of Education.
Okay, I have a master's in business administration degree from Rockford College, which is now Rockford University. I work at Vacated, which you may or may not be familiar with. It used to be called Ebates. I'm on the, we call it the abuse and payments team, so I deal with people who are committing fraud all day. So difficult people is what I would generalize it as. And I'm looking to be appointed as a member of the board to get involved with the school district in more of I'm losing the word, more of a professional way than I have been before. I have been on PTO. I was president of Hackett PTO when my daughter went there. And then I do have some experience with being on boards. I was on the Landmarks Commission for the city, and I was on the naming commission for this building.
So I'm just going to finish writing down my notes. All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate the answer. Ms. Levy.
Thank you for joining us tonight and for your interest. How else are you engaged in our community, and is any of your experience relevant to serving on the Board of Education?
I think I just mentioned some of that. Is I have been involved in with the city boards and with school district boards in the past. So I believe that would flow well into this position should I be chosen.
Thank you.
I mean, I also have a daughter in the district, and I'm obviously involved in her sports and homecoming and every other thing she needs to be involved in.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson.
All right. Thanks for coming out tonight. My question I have for you is, in some situations, you may be asked to accept a reality that is contrary to your own beliefs. As a board of education member, you may cast the minority vote on an issue passed by the majority of the Board of Education. What would your reaction be in this situation?
It would be a bummer, I'm sure. But also, I think it's important that you don't vote with the majority just because it's the majority, and that you vote with your opinion, even if it is the minority opinion.
Thank you so much. Mr. Schneider?
Good evening, and thank you for your interest in being a member of the school board. And the question is, as a Board of Education member, you will receive input from people representing special groups or interests. How do you plan to use this information in the decision-making process?
I think I understand this question to be receiving contact from members of the community with their opinions of what the board should do? Is that something that sounds right?
So to elaborate, I mean, certainly people will contact you. I think the focus of the question is on like special interest groups, maybe?
Okay. So I mean, I definitely would take into consideration the information that they have provided, and relay it as necessary and take it into consideration when voting, depending on what the information is and how I feel about it.
Thanks for your patience as we jot down our notes,
No.
too. All right, thank you very much. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Levy, number 5.
In your opinion, what should be the relationship between the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools?
So currently, the relationship is that the superintendent reports to the school district, to the Board of Education. Is that correct? Correct. Yeah, I agree with that, that model. And I think that the relationship should be cordial between them rather than adversarial, is what I would say I've experienced in the past.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
What do you think are the most pressing challenges facing the school district of Beloit, and what do you think the board should do to address these challenges?
This is a tough one, probably the toughest one for me so far. I feel like there's a lot of challenges in the city of Beloit and the district of Beloit, and I'm not quite sure how to tell the board how to address them, but I feel like some kids need more attention in the classroom than they're getting, and just for example, my daughter needs very little intervention. She goes to class, does her work, and lives her life. But I feel there's other students who need more because they don't have support at home. So that not necessarily they need help with their homework, but I think they need like a confidant or support in that way through the school district. And I'm not sure how to make that happen. I know our teachers are very concerned with their students, and we have a very good staff, I feel, in the city of Beloit. The reason I want to get involved is to help solve some of these problems, even if I don't know how at this time. What I would say is there's a lot of armchair quarterbacking in the city, and rather than throw something on Facebook and say this teacher sucks, nobody is helping my kid, and what can I do about this? I feel like part of me wants to get on the board so that I could help relay that information, say what's going on with your kid, what's going on with the teacher, how can I help, or who can we contact to get involved, or to point someone in that situation into the right directions and say, well, have you contacted the principal? No, maybe we should. Have you contacted the counselor? Maybe we should. Have you contacted? Because a lot of times I think people need help, but they don't know where to get it. So that's it's kind of convoluted answer to your question, but that's where I'm at with that.
Well, thank you very much. And Mr. Schneider with the last question.
I can't tell what to say.
Okay. Now, the last question has a number of different parts to it. Are you able to commit to a minimum of 2 nights per month for board meetings and possibly extra days for special meetings? Are you comfortable with reading documents thoroughly for comprehension, sometimes on a short time frame? and arriving at meetings fully prepared to professionally engage and execute the business of the school district of Beloit? And how do you plan to manage your schedule to make this happen?
Yes, I am able to commit to this and am comfortable reading documents thoroughly and professionally. I'm a stickler for being on time. I'll always be on time if I'm not early. And how do I plan to manage my schedule? Right now, my work schedule is very flexible. I work from home, and I have flexible hours so that I could take off if necessary. And I also have help from my family, so if I had to get my daughter to work, or if I had to pick her up from volleyball, or if I had to do whatever I had to do, I have support outside of myself that could do it for me.
Thank you. And then on behalf of the Board of Education, I just want to thank you again for being here this evening and for your interest in serving on the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to take just a minute because it looks like Board Member or Vice President Levy was able to join us. If you can have a seat in the hall, or if you we can follow up with you. If you need to go, we can call you. Otherwise, you're welcome to stay.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you again. Vice President Levy, we are here. We're in our third interview. Did you want to jump in and help ask questions?
No, I'll just listen and vote.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so she hasn't heard all of them, so we'll have to talk at the end. Yeah, it's being recorded. We can maybe, I was just gonna say we can recess so he can catch up. Perfect. Okay, yeah, we'll like kind of discuss that at the end, I think. So right now we have had our first two interviews, and we are ready for Mr. Sorry, Matt, what, can you say your last name for me? Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Windmuller-Schmidt. Thank you very much for being here this evening. You can have a seat. There's the microphone should already be on for you. We all appreciate your interest and in you coming to join us this evening. So let me just, and I'm going to ask, there might be a pause in between when you answer questions and when we ask the next one, just because we're still jotting down notes. So
Sure, no problem.
I want to normalize that real quick. All right. So I want to thank you very much. And I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question, and then Ms. Levy, then Mr. Anderson, and then Mr. Schneider is up on the screen on either side of the room. And then we'll continue in that order. Thank you. Could you please tell us a little about yourself, your education, your work experience, and any other information you'd like to share? And please tell us why you should be appointed as a member of the Board of Education.
So I graduated from physical therapy school in 2015, and I've worked in outpatient orthopedics since then. Out on the East Coast for a little while, and then I moved back to the Midwest with the intention of being around family. My wife and I got married in 2019, and we moved to Beloit shortly afterwards with the intention to move here. We really liked the community. We liked, the small town yet, city feel of the area. I'm currently working at a physical therapy clinic in the downtown of Rockford, but I'm opening up a clinic in McChesney Park relatively quickly at the end of the month, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, which is, questionable at times. As to respect to any other information that I like to share, my wife is a public school teacher up in Madison, so I'm kind of, I live in the world of public school, and I think that's the major reason I would like to be appointed. Is I know the value of public education. I would like to participate in the community, and I think that there's a unique opportunity to help a lot of kids in the area, and I think this is a special place to live, and I just would like to be a part of that.
Thank you so much. Ms. Levy?
Thank you for joining us this evening. How else are you engaged in our community, and is any of your experience relevant to serving on the Board of Education?
I believe especially in the current situation with the pandemic that we're all living through, I think my unique experience with respect to my profession gives me an idea of what, the challenges that the community has to deal with I have to wear masks every day at work. I wear them, 8-10 hours a day. My patients wear masks all day. We deal with the science associated with it, and it's one of those things that I have those conversations relatively often, and I think there's value in what I have to provide. And I believe that, the decisions that I make every day in terms of how I manage my clinic, the staffing decisions, that sort of thing, provide me a unique experience with respect to what we do here. As far as being engaged in the community, I like to think that I'm engaged in the community, but there's not necessarily anything in particular that I'm doing other than, keeping abreast with what's happening in the community, new projects, new experiences. This is kind of my first dive into engagement. We've only lived here for just under 2 years, and so we're kind of dipping our toes in the water, so to speak.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Anderson.
All right, sorry about that.
No problem.
I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. In some situations, you may be asked to accept a reality that is contrary to your own beliefs. As a Board of Education member, you may cast a minority vote on an issue passed by the majority of the Board of Education. What would your reaction be in this situation?
Obviously, everyone wants to be right all the time, but that's not how it is all the time. And there's value in sharing opinions that are not necessarily your own. And we live in a society that it's important to have several sides of every issue. And I think that even though you're casting a minority vote, just putting your beliefs and your opinions out there is important just unto itself. But, as a community, as a board, we're doing the best for everyone. And so if the majority rules, that's what it is. I will obviously support the opinions of the majority, even if they go contrary to my own.
Thank you. And whenever you're ready, Mr. Schneider, number 4.
Okay. Thank you for your interest in being a member of the school board. The question is, as a Board of Education member, you will receive input from people representing special groups or interests. How do you plan to use this information in the decision-making process?
I think it's important to take the opinions of all people into consideration when making decisions. You want to make decisions in isolation. If you do, you're missing out on a variety of input and knowledge that you wouldn't necessarily even know that you needed. And so I think it's important to listen to, all opinions and experiences and try to make best the decision that you can.
Thank you very much. Ms. Levy, whenever you're ready.
In your opinion, what should be the relationship between the Board of Education and Superintendent of Schools?
I think the relationship should be not codependent, but cohesive. It needs to be a give and take relationship. Obviously there's some direction one way or the other, but it's important to have a strong working relationship where everyone knows the expectations and the benefits that the board and that the superintendent provide. Obviously, the superintendent has a unique experience, kind of living in the day-to-day of the schools, whereas, we're kind of on the outside, which is the intention. We're supposed to be looking at it from a community perspective, and so it's important to have that give and take.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
What do you think are the most pressing challenges facing the school district of Beloit, and what do you think the board should do to address these challenges?
I mean, I think it's obvious, but I think the pandemic is the most pressing issue that we're facing right now. I mean, not just here, but as a country, as a world. We deal with the challenges that are associated with the pandemic every day, and I think that it's important for the school board to continue to address those based on the best science that we have available, the best recommendations that we have available, and it's important to continually update or not update depending on what's appropriate given the situation. I think that's the most pressing issue.
Thank you. And Board Member Schneider, whenever you're ready with the last question.
Okay, and this is a multiple part question. Are you able to commit to a minimum of 2 nights per month for board meetings and possibly extra days for special meetings? Are you comfortable with reading documents thoroughly for comprehension, sometimes at a short time frame, and arriving at meetings fully prepared to professionally engage and execute the business of the school district of Beloit? And how do you plan to manage your schedule to make this happen?
As for commitment, 100%, I am absolutely willing to commit to whatever is necessary if I am elected to the school board. I read complicated medical journals most every day, or a couple times a week, so I feel very comfortable reading documents thoroughly, especially even on a short time frame. And as for managing my schedule, I don't think it should be much of a problem. My schedule finishes relatively early in the evening. Some nights are late, but I control my own schedule at work. I schedule my patients as necessary, and so if it's required to move people around, that's my patients understand.
Thank you. And I just want to, again, on the behalf of the Board of Education, thank you so much for your time and your interest in serving with us this evening. You're welcome to wait outside, or you can, if you need to get home, we can give you a call and let you know. It might be like tomorrow morning, depending on how late this goes tonight.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. No, thanks again. And then, Board, are we ready for our next candidate? We good? Awesome. It looks like we are ready for Ms. Ruff. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks so much for being here this evening. I think your mic's already on for you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, welcome. And we're going to ask you a total of 7 questions. I'll start with the first question, and then it'll go Board Member Levy, Board Member Anderson, Board Member Schneider, and then repeat in that order. So just thank you so much for your interest, and we're glad you're here tonight. Could you please tell us a little about yourself, your education, your work experience, and any other information you'd like to share, and tell us why you should be appointed as a member of the Board of Education?
That's a lot, but as far as a little about myself, I grew up in South Beloit. I'm a SOBO, and then I attended Beloit College and became a member of Wisconsin. Graduated from Beloit College. I've taught 33 plus years, 15 in the Beloit School District, Aldridge when it was a junior high, and then I moved to South Milwaukee, a suburb of Milwaukee. I taught there 15 years, and then my parents became ill, so I came back to Beloit and I taught at Beloit Memorial until I retired in 2013. My granddaughter graduated from Beloit Memorial just this past year, and she's now at Texas State majoring in marine biology. I have 3 grandkids in the Beloit School District. They're elementary right now. And I guess my educational and work experience, as I said, comes from me teaching. I did serve on the Beloit School Board for one term back in 1980 when I first came back to Beloit. And after that, I became an educator for the district, like I said. And as far as why I would like to be appointed to the Board of Education, my whole life is based around education. That's all I know. And I believe in education. And I love children. And I think the only way they will be successful is through their level of education. And as a teacher, I enjoyed preparing students to reach that level, and I understand the relationship between the parent and the school district, and there are some problems, and my understanding helps me to better make the parents feel comfortable in dealing with the school district and the children. I understand the curriculum. I've written curriculum before, working with administration, working with my colleagues. Just the whole arena of education is my life. And so I'd like to continue. I am retired right now, and I have the time. And if I'm going to use this time, I'd like to use it in the arena of education and educating. My hours are flexible, of course, and I believe that's it.
Thank you so much. Ms. Levy, or Board Member Levy, the second question?
Thank you so much for your interest in joining us this evening. How else are you engaged in our community, and is any of your experience relevant to serving on the Board of Education?
How else are you engaged in our community? Well, I'm involved in different communities, different organizations in the community, the NAACP. I'm involved in my church, and we do a lot of activities with the young people, not only in my church, but other churches, bringing them together in the summer for different Bible school experiences. I was a Girl Scout troop leader and Brownie leader, and I have contacted the Girl Scouts about starting a new troop, and I have to admit my interest came from my granddaughters and her friends not being able to be Girl Scouts and Brownies, so I thought maybe I would start a troop for them, and hopefully it'll be out of one of the schools. I attend some of the activities, the games and the concerts and different things like that, just to stay in touch with the students and help in any way I can. So I try to stay involved and active in a lot of the organizations, stay on top of the things that are going on in Beloit, and if there's any way I can help by serving on a committee or any way I can help, I'm available.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Anderson.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight. So the question I have for you is, in some situations, you may be asked to accept a reality that is contrary to your own beliefs. As a Board of Education member, you may cast the minority vote on an issue passed by the majority of the Board of Education. What would your reaction be in this situation?
Well, if I understand the question, I guess maybe I could use an example of wearing masks during school. That might be an issue in some districts where they don't want students and teachers to have to wear masks, and in some districts they want them to. So in situations like that or other situations similar, my main thing is doing the research, what's best. Through research, what has worked best for the community and the students and the parents and the teachers. And then based on that information, I would try to explain why I support a particular situation, and then I would vote that way. And if I'm the minority vote, and it's based on my beliefs and the statistics and information that I've gathered, which I would make clear that that is why I'm voting this way, that's what I'd have to do, if I understand the question correctly. Okay.
Thank you so much. Whenever you're ready, Board Member Schneider, with the next question, please.
Thank you for your interest in the Board of Education. The question is, as the Board of Education member, you will receive input from people representing special groups and interests. How do you plan to use this information in the decision-making process?
Well, like I said, I've learned to make decisions based on information and experience. So if there was an issue that a certain special group of interest was interested in, I would listen to all of the information that they shared with me regarding that particular item or idea. And I will also do some research on not only the information about the idea being presented, but look at other districts and see what the outcome has been, the pros and the cons, and speaking with other board members and how they feel about it and what's best for our school and our children, I would have to base my decision on that. So I would have to base my decision on that.
Thank you so much. Board Member Levy?
In your opinion, what should be the relationship between the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools?
Board of Education and the Superintendent. Well, if I understand correctly, the board is the leader and the superintendent implements protocol. I mean, you know, the curriculum, the activities, the different things that help to run an educational institution. The superintendent, also the superintendent provides the board with the necessary information, statistics, facts, examples, outcomes, etc., so that the board is aware and more knowledgeable about whatever the situation is. And then with that information, the board would recommend the best route to take, and then the superintendent would implement it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Anderson, when you're ready.
Oh, Anderson, okay.
What do you think are the most pressing challenges facing the school district of Beloit, and what do you think the board should do to address these challenges?
Well, what do you think are the most pressing challenges? The Beloit School District is a good district to me, and one thing that I am proud of is the curriculum, and it has a lot to offer the students in the area of different curriculum. Another thing about the School District of Beloit that I like is the rapport between the school board, the openness and the ability to speak to them, and the teachers and the administration and the community and the parents. As far as what some of the pressing issues, I think one right now is discipline, or some of the things that are going on in the school, and how do we handle those. Just give me a minute to read the question again. What do you think are the most pressing challenges facing the school board, the district board, and what do you think the board should do? I guess one of them is discipline, and some of the things that are going within the school. Another one is, for me, is the ratio of the population of the students versus the teachers in the district as far as the number of minority students and the number of minorities, teachers, Hispanic, the ratio is way off, and I think that's an issue, which goes back to hiring black teachers and teachers of other backgrounds. And as far as discipline, we've got a lot of things going on in the high school with our different types of students. I think that there are some issues in the district that teachers need to be more prepared or maybe have some training in dealing with, and those are, some of those issues are dealing with students, the different types of students we have, the different issues that they come to school with. I think teachers need to be made more aware and receive some support and training in those areas. Like I said, I feel we have a really good curriculum and a nice group of teachers who are able to share that curriculum with the students. I don't know if we've talked about, I'm not really sure the issue of wearing masks. I'm not sure if that's an issue, but it is in some districts. And because I don't know it's an issue, I'm assuming that Beloit is handling it very well. I guess that's all I have to say for number 6.
Thank you so much. And then last question will be asked by Board Member Schneider, and again, he's up there on the screen. Sorry, I lost the word there for a moment. On either side of the room. Go ahead, Board Member Schneider.
Okay, and the last question has several different parts to it. Are you able to commit to a minimum of 2 nights per week for board meetings and possibly extra days for special meetings? Are you comfortable reading documents thoroughly for comprehension, sometimes on a short time frame, and arriving at meetings fully prepared to professionally engage and execute the business of the school district of Beloit? And how do you plan to manage your schedule to make this happen?
Well, I don't think this one will be a problem. As I said, I'm a retired school teacher. I do sub sometimes, but I can select a job or not select a job. I usually work 1 or 2 days a week, and that's just to have money to buy my grandkids what they need. But to answer the question, I'm not only am I retired, but my husband is a truck driver, and he only comes home on the weekend, so I'm always trying to find something to do all week. So I believe that I could make that commitment. I'm available to attend meetings in the days and in the evenings. I'm a 33-plus year high school English teacher, so I would have no problem reading documents, comprehending them, rewriting them, editing them, or whatever you need me to do. So I think that this is a good time in my life to dedicate to the school district of Beloit and our students.
Again, on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank you so much for your interest and for joining us here this evening. We have 2 more interviews, so you're welcome to stay, or if you need to get going, we can give you a call. Okay? Thank you so much.
Okay.
Board, are we ready for the next candidate? We're ready. Awesome. Ms. Dooley, we are ready for Ms. Raleigh. Thank you so much. Feel free to make yourself comfortable there at the mic. And students, thanks again for joining us. See you next time, we hope. Yeah, Board Member Levy was just saying, if you need a minute, like you can always turn the mic off if you need to process.
Okay.
Just so you don't have to.
Is it on? No, it's not on right.
Oh, yeah.
No, it is. Oh,
Yeah, the little red light means it's on, but yeah, if you need like a minute, you're good. We just,
okay.
yeah, sure thing. Give me 1 sec. All right, good evening, and I want to thank you so much for joining us here and participating in the interview and for your candidacy. So we're going to take turns asking you questions. I'll ask the first one, and then Board Member Levy, then Board Member Anderson, then Board Member Schneider's up here on the wall on the screen on either side of the room. He'll ask, and then that cycle will repeat again, okay?
Okay.
So there are 7 questions total, and there might be like a pause at the end of you answering the question just so we finish writing down what you say, okay? All right, so welcome. Please tell us a little about yourself and your education, work experiences, and any other information you'd like to share, and tell us why you should be appointed as a member of the Board of Education.
Good evening. My name is Christine Raleigh. I've been married to my husband, Beethoven, for 9 years, and together we have 4 children. I have a bachelor's degree in communications from Waldorf University. In addition to being a full-time mom, I manage a small in-home clothing boutique, and other work experience has involved working mostly with children as well as in banking. I have a deep appreciation for music and languages. I have a heart to serve people and just to be mindful of youth especially. I value transparency and honesty and would like to speak to 4 things briefly. You may be aware that my children have not attended the Beloit Public Schools. My family has made decisions based on the unique needs of my children since moving here and adjusting to changing circumstances we have faced. I am supportive of public schools, and my children currently attend a public school. I want to see the success of our schools and see the district become the choice for even more families. Next, my family has faced some of our hardest economic challenges in recent years. We have been fortunate to overcome these while living here in Beloit. These experiences, along with skill sets that I possess, equip me to have a unique perspective and ability to support many of the families in our district who may also be experiencing economic hardships. Last spring, there was a literature drop in our community by anonymous people that I am aware generated some controversy. Although my name was on that literature, this should not be tied to me in any way, as I had no part of its distribution nor in the creation of its content. I was not involved with that event. Also, I've been blessed to live in Beloit for 2.5 years, and as relatively a newcomer to our community, this allows me to bring a fresh perspective and new eyes to the issues facing our district. And this truly is a strength that I would bring as a member of the Board of Education. And to speak to, could you repeat the second part of that question?
Oh, absolutely. Talk to us about why you should be appointed as a member of the Board of Education.
Yes. I should be appointed as a member of the Board of Education because I possess many positive qualities that are suitable for such a person on the school board. I'm compassionate and cooperative and adaptable and committed. I am a listener. I have vision and want to see the success of our schools. I am kind and respectful. And yeah, I think I would be a great addition to the school board.
Thank you so much. Ms. Levy, whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much for your interest and for joining us here tonight. We appreciate it. How else have you engaged in the community, and is any of your experience relevant to serving on the Board of Education?
I have the privilege of attending 2 different religious congregations in the area, and in my experience in those congregations, I express leadership abilities through serving on the music teams and working with the children's ministries. In my experience on these ministries, I have gained confidence and in my ability to speak with people who I may not know personally, and mentoring children just keeps me aware and just thinking of the children in our community.
Thank you.
Board Member Anderson?
All right. I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. So the question I have for you is, in some situations, you may be asked to accept a reality that is contrary to your own beliefs. As a Board of Education member, you may cast a minority vote on an issue passed by the majority of the Board of Education. What would your reaction be in this situation?
Sure. So I think an existence of numerous points of view is a good thing and beneficial. I am also somebody who strives to be respectful of other people and their ideas. And so if I cast a minority vote, I would continue and move forward with the decision of the majority of the board and just continue my duties as a school board member.
Thank you so much. Board Member Schneider?
Thank you for your interest in this school board. And the question is, as a Board of Education member, you will receive input from people representing special groups or interests. How do you plan to use this information in your decision-making process?
So I am eager to hear the thoughts and concerns of the community. And as a board member, I would take those thoughts and concerns and give them serious consideration as I make decisions as a member of the school board.
Thank you. And whenever you're ready, Ms. Levy?
In your opinion, what should be the relationship between the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools?
So the Board of Education creates the policies for the district, and the Superintendent of Schools, he executes or carries out those policies that are set by the board.
Thank you.
What do you think are the most pressing challenges facing the school district of Beloit? And what do you think the board should do to address these challenges?
I believe the areas in need of most priority for our district are student retention, student academics, and the safety, just strengthening the safety in our classroom environments. And I believe that the school board can define the priorities for the district, and then with each decision that is made, weigh those to each of those priorities and just consider how they're affecting those.
Thank you. Board Member Schneider with the last question, please.
Okay, and this question has several parts to it. Are you able to commit a minimum of 2 nights per month for board meetings and possibly extra days for special meetings? Are you comfortable with reading documents thoroughly for comprehension, sometimes at a short time frame, and arriving at meetings fully prepared to professionally engage and execute the business of the school district of Beloit? And how do you plan to manage your schedule to make this happen?
Yes, I am prepared to commit at least the 2 nights a month for the school board meetings, as well as any extra days that may be necessary for special meetings. I'm comfortable reading documents to make sure I understand them and to be ready and prepared when I am at the board meetings to execute the business for the district. And I plan on doing that just by staying organized and just providing adequate or just, organizing the childcare or anything else in my life that may need to happen in order to let me be available. I have a closing thought. I just want,
yes,
well,
no,
just
please.
because I know that's the last question.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Just my closing thoughts is it would be an honor to serve alongside of all of you on the Board of Education, and thank you for your time.
Well, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the Board of Education for applying and for your interest, and we definitely appreciate your time this evening. We've got, I think, one more interview, so if you want to hang in, or if you need to get going, we can give you a call. All right?
All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Board, are we ready for our last candidate? Yeah. Fantastic. We're on fire tonight. Okay. Last candidate, please. All right, sorry, off mic there was just a question about if the students could get a copy of the questions that we asked, and I just said, of course they can. So for those in the crowd, or those watching from home who may not have seen, we had a bunch of high school students join us tonight to fulfill an obligation for their class. So it's been great to see a lot of young people here this evening. Okay, we have our last interview with Ms. Semrau. Right. All right. And I just want to thank you very much on behalf of the Board of Education for your interest in the position and for your candidacy. So I'm going to ask you the first question, and then there are 7 questions total. Ms. Levy, then Mr. Anderson, and then Mr. Schneider's up on the screen here on either side of the wall. They'll ask you the next 3 questions and then the next 3 questions. Okay?
Great.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming this evening. Please tell us a little about yourself, your education, work experience, and any other information you'd like to share, and tell us why you should be appointed as a member of the Board of Education.
Okay, I attended school here in the Beloit School District. I then moved on to UW-Rock and got my Associates of Science and Arts, and then I continued on to nursing school at the Rockford University. I graduated there, and then I went to work at Swedish American. I worked in the step-down heart unit. I am currently stay-at-home mom of 2 kids in the district. I definitely think I should be a part of the board because, one, I have children here. I have personally experienced the schools myself. I volunteer in my children's school. I try every day to connect with many people in the district. I have, so far this year, spoke with Dr. Keyser's assistant. I've also talked with the health services the health services chair, because, you know, the things with COVID have made this year difficult. I think that I'd be a great addition to the board because I have a lot of experience with children. I, of course, would continually, you know, educate myself as to what we need and listen to the community and to you as well. Come together and work to find equality and equity for our district.
Thank you so much. And if there's, I should have mentioned, if there's a pause after we, after you answer, we're just catching up on notes. So sorry for any awkward pauses.
No worries.
Thank you. And then Ms. Levy, whenever you're ready.
I'll minimize the awkward pause for this one. Thank you for joining us. We so appreciate your interest. How else have you engaged in our community, and is any of your experience relevant to serving on the Board of Education?
Well, I am on the ABLCC here in Beloit. I volunteer for different benefits and first aid. I have worked with Healthcare for the Homeless. I've also worked with low-income children in other districts, Rockford mainly when I was working at Swedes. I also organize and help to find the things that different places need, like Miss Carly's, or here in town, our own homeless shelters. All of those things, I think, would be relevant. I can definitely discuss and read documents. I can, you know, I offer all form of interesting things that I could bring from the community that I engage with people.
Thank you so much. I believe you said AVLCC. I'm not familiar. Could you tell us what that is?
It's the Alcohol Beverage Licensing Committee.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mr. Anderson.
All right, I'll keep the awkward pause short too. I want to say thank you very much for joining us tonight. In some situations, you may be asked to accept a reality that is contrary to your own beliefs. As a Board of Education member, you may cast a minority vote on an issue passed by the majority of the Board of Education. What would your reaction be in this situation?
Well, I think it's part of a situation like this. There are many differing opinions, and we have to come together and unite and work for what's best for the school district. I think it's important to, you know, be able to take the loss. I think it's important to continue to work with your peers, and I think it's good to actually, you know, accept that sometimes. Sometimes you learn from those things, you know. Sometimes you're better able to meet in the middle when you don't necessarily get the thing you're going after.
Thank you. Board Member Schneider?
And thank you for your interest in the board. The question is, as a Board of Education member, you will receive input from people representing special groups and interests. How do you plan to use this information in the decision-making process?
Oh, well, I suppose it would just depend on the group or organization, but I would definitely take into account, you know, what their issue is, what they need help with, why they're coming to us, what they need from us, evaluate those things, come together and conceptualize what we can do to help them or meet in the middle.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Levy.
All right. In your opinion, what should be the relationship between the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools?
Well, I think the relationship would be to work together, to evaluate policy, to set policy, to look for positive outcomes, to consult each other in a respectful way, and confidently change things that need to be changed in the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you think are the most pressing issues facing the school district of Beloit? And what do you think the board should do to address these challenges?
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I think education should be an instrument that helps fill inequity. And whether it be, social, I mean, there's so much, I think we need to help the students and the staff and the administration come together to help figure these things out. I mean, there are a lot of things I think we could do. I know that equity and accountability are very important. I think we should be evaluating things scientifically too. We should look at the data. What is the best way for us to bring these things about to our students? Who can help us bring these things? What is the easiest pathway? How do we get the teachers to communicate with each other, with administration, and with the board, and with, of course, the superintendent? I think that those are things need to come together so we can balance it out so everybody has equal opportunity.
Thank you. And Board Member Schneider with the last question.
Okay, now this question has several different parts to it. Are you able to commit a minimum of two nights per month for board meetings and possibly extra days for special meetings? Are you comfortable with reading documents thoroughly for comprehension, sometimes at a short time frame, and arriving at meetings fully prepared to professionally engage and execute the business of the school district of Beloit? And how do you plan to manage your schedule to make this happen?
Okay, absolutely. I definitely can conceptualize. I can definitely read documents. I can do it in a fairly fast manner, assess it, and then come forward to work together. I think that I would have no problem with my schedule. I would be able to find ways to get here whenever I was needed, whether it was 2, 4, 5 nights a month, whatever it may be, to get the job done. Did I miss something? There were a couple parts there.
I think you answered. I have in my notes all parts of the question answered anyway. Are we good, everybody? Okay. Well, with that, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to apply, for your interest, and for being here with us this evening. We're going to take a few minutes to recess so that Vice President Levy can review footage from the first 2 interviews. And then I'm not sure quite how long it'll take. Why don't we plan on recessing for what are we going to need maybe, do you think, for the... We'll check in 15. Okay, so if you do need to get going while we're in recess, we can give you a call, is what I was getting at. So thank you so much again.
Thank you all for your time.
Certainly. So board, at this time, let me just grab the time. So at this time, it is 7:24. I'd like to ask us to take a 15-minute recess at this time. We'll check back after 15 minutes and update with any other time that we need so that everybody's had a chance to review their notes and any of the and so Vice President Levy can take a look at the other interviews. So with that said, we'll recess and be back at, we'll call it at 7:40. Is that okay? All right, thank you.
7:45. 7:45, okay.
Okay, 7:45, thanks. All right, it is now 7:45. I would like to check in at this time with Vice President Levy, Board Member Schneider, Board Member Anderson, and Board Member Levy to see if everybody has had an adequate opportunity to deliberate. Vice President Levy, if you need more time, it is totally fine. Can you let us know, Vice President Levy, where you're at?
I'm ready. I've reviewed the interviews that I missed.
Okay. So at this time, it's my understanding that Vice President Levy and Board Member Schneider are both able to vote electronically. Can you both confirm that? You have access to that?
Yes.
Yeah, let me get it.
So Vice President Levy, do you have the Google form to submit?
I do.
Perfect. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Okay, so at this time, let me just grab the agenda here. I think it got mixed in with my notes. Okay, so before we go on then to item 2B, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody again for applying. All the candidates who applied, we just had a fantastic group of applicants. It's definitely not going to be an easy decision, and we're grateful for all the interest that the community has shown in serving on the board. At this time, we're going to move to item 2B, which is the decision to fill the seat vacated by former board member John Wong. At this time, board members, please cast your ballot, whether it be virtual or paper, for that first seat. Thank you.
This question. This is the first round of voting.
Correct.
That's correct. So, and thank you for asking. Then, so to clarify, if a candidate receives a majority of 3 or higher, so if a candidate receives 3 votes or higher, then that candidate will be appointed to that seat. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Just a minute. My ballot says, just to be clear, having some trouble. Just a minute. I'm lost. Oh, so you said John Wong's seat. My ballot says my selection to fill the board vacancy caused by the resignation of board member M. Delgado is the ballot that I have.
Thank you, Vice President Levy. I just changed that in there, so it'll reflect it. It will reflect it now electronically.
So, like, if I update,
You should be able to update.
okay, now it says John Wong. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so then I vote. Okay, let me vote now.
All right, thanks. So we're all going to take a moment to vote. I'm going to leave my mic on, and then if you want to just pass them down.
Then I submit.
All right. Thank you. And then we're going to let Dr. Keyser is going to walk those ballots to Ms. Dooley, who's then going to tally this first round vote total, along with our electronic votes from Board Member Schneider and Vice President Levy. So we're just going to pause for a moment and let that take place. Okay, so it sounds like Dr. Keyser recorded on paper what the 2 electronic votes were, and now Ms. Dooley has all of the totals.
So neither candidate got a majority.
Thanks. I think Dr. Kaiser's going to come take a look at the totals for us. Thanks. All right, so we have a 2 to 2 to 1. So the two top vote getters that will then, I think we're going to narrow it down to these top two and vote again, are Ms. Joyce Ruff and Ms. Allie Semrau. So do we have another set of ballots, paper ballots to pass out? All right, so Dr. Kaiser's going to hand out ballots at this time. And then again, we're going to start fresh at the second seat when we get to item, what is that, 2C?
And so on our electronic ballot, is this going to say John Wong again? The John Wong seat?
Yes, you can hit submit another response, and then you'll select round 2, and then it'll record it as the second round vote.
Yes, so just to clarify, board members, we're only voting for either Ms. Ruff or Ms. Semrau. All right, what's that? Oh, sorry. At this time, Dr. Kaiser's going to bring our new set of ballots over to Ms. Dooley. Thank you, Dr. Kaiser. All right, the top vote getter for round 2 is Ms. Joyce Ruff. Congratulations. Yes, it does. You're very welcome. All right, thank you very much. So we're moving Ms. Ruff from the, obviously from the ballot. So if she's on your ballot, I mean, obviously she'll be on the paper ballot and on the electronic ballot. So please do not vote for her for this next piece. So we have item 2C, the board member decision for the seat vacated by Maria Delgado. We're going to use the same process. So Dr. Kaiser is going to hand out paper ballots to those of us here in the boardroom. Those of you participating electronically should have an electronic ballot. So again, only vote for the 5 remaining candidates, please. One of the 5 remaining candidates.
Do we mark this round 1 or round 3?
Correct. So this is round 1 for agenda item 2C for the seat vacated by Maria Delgado.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem. So you vote for anybody you want as long as it's not Ms. Ruff. All right, thanks. It looks like at this time the votes are totaled. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Sanders received 2 votes and Ms. Semrau received 3 votes. So Ms. Semrau, you've been appointed to the board as well. Thanks again for everybody who applied, and there will be future opportunities to participate in the elections in April, and we are entering strategic planning very soon. So there'll definitely be other opportunities for people to participate on the board, and we really do deeply appreciate everybody's interest this evening. Thank you. Ms. Dooley and Dr. Keyser will follow up with our 2 newly appointed board members for information on swearing in. There will be an organizational meeting. Did we determine the time?
We are going to make it a part of the regular board meeting on the 19th.
Perfect. So 7 o'clock is the next regular board meeting, next Tuesday, October 19th. So we'll have you sworn in, and then at that time we'll have an organizational component of our meeting to appoint, committees, positions, et cetera. All right. At this time, we have to, I guess this counts as, do we have to make motions and take formal votes for the board vacancy?
Let me get back to the agenda here.
Yeah, it's just right here.
Thank you. Yes, I'll get that up so that we can.
Okay. So at this time, I believe we have to make formal motions to appoint the board members that received the votes. So thank you. Would somebody like to move to appoint Ms. Ruff to fill the position of the seat vacated by John Wong?
So moved.
Your motion? So a motion by Levy and, sorry, it was second by?
Schneider.
Oh, sorry, second by Schneider. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Congratulations. Next, would somebody like to make a formal motion to appoint Ms. Semrau to fill the seat vacated by Ms. Delgado?
So moved.
Second.
So you have a motion by Levy, second by Anderson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. All right, at this time, we are going to go into executive session, and we'll be adjourning from closed session, so we'll be in touch, and thank you again. At this time, a motion may be made and a vote taken to convene the Board of Education into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C, relative to considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Levy, second by Board Member Anderson. Ms. Dooley, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Question.
I'm sorry, is there a
Do
question?
we have the closed session link?
It's being sent right now.
Great question, thank you. So it sounds like, in case nobody heard, so it sounds like we're going to send out a Meet link for the closed session now. Thank you. Any other questions before we take our vote? All right, sounds good, Ms. Dooley, thank you.
Okay, Spencer Anderson,
Aye.
Amy Levy,
Aye.
Sean Levy,
Aye.
Megan Miller,
Aye.
Greg Snyder.
Aye.
Thank you. It sounds like motion passes unanimously, so we would be able then to reconvene into public session in order to take action if necessary on items discussed in closed session. However, it is unlikely that we will return to open session. If we do, we'll make sure that that gets aired on YouTube. Thank you very much.